Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about a doubly reinforced beam. So for this, let us take an example. Here is the example. A rectangular reinforced concrete beam is simply supported on two 230 mm thick and 6-meter apart masonry walls. The question is exactly similar with that we have done in single reinforced beam, but there is the only difference is that there is another additional load of 30 kilonewton. This is a point load which is acting at the midspan of the section, just like you can see here in the figure. You can see that there is a UDL, which is a combination of dead load and live load, and this is P is the point load which is acting at the center, which value is given as 30 kilonewton. As well as in this problem, the beam section is already given to you, okay, which is 300 mm by 400 mm. If you remember, in our previous class while designing for single reinforced beam, the beam dimensions we have assumed considering the deflection criteria as per IS 456, but here you can see that the dimension is already given to you, that is 300 by 400. So what is the problem? What is the problem that we encounter when dimension is already given? That means the dimension is already restricted. Here load is already been increased. Load has been increased with addition of 30 kilonewton point load at the midspan, and its dimension is fixed. So you cannot increase the dimension if there is a enhance or increase in the moment. Okay, so if there is an increase in moment, then you cannot change the dimension. So what is the another way of taking the extra moment that is coming? Okay, if in case of a singly reinforced beam, you can see you know that the moment that is acting on the beam for suppose UTL and point load, that can be taken by considering different dimensions of the beam. But here the dimension, as the dimension is restricted, so you have to take care of some other measures so that you can take that particular extra enhancement in the loading. Okay, so here what is the extra thing that we are going to do here? Initially, in case of single reinforced beam, if you remember, we had tension reinforcement at the bottom, but here what we will do, we will provide some compression reinforcement as well at the top. This compression reinforcement will act, or it will take the additional moment that is coming to the beam, okay, without changing its dimension. So whenever we are solving any problem in the say exam, so you might find that whether the beam should be designed as a singly or doubly. So in that case, in most of the cases where you have the dimension is already given to you, in that case most probably that problem may be a problem of doubly reinforced beam, though you are not sure unless you find out the limiting moment of resistance of the section. You cannot say definitely that it is going to be doubly or singly reinforced, but most of the cases, if dimension is already given, that problem might be a problem of doubly reinforced beam. So let's look into our solution of this problem. So here, this is the figure of the problem that already given to us, so I think it is very clear to you. Then let's see what are the data that are provided in this question. So exposure condition is moderate as per table 3. You can find out what is the nominal cover that is required for moderate exposure condition. Then grade of the concrete M25, considering moderate environment condition we have considered M25 grade of concrete, and grade of steel we have considered Fe415, that is 415 MPa. And clear cover, okay, clear cover we have considered 25 mm as per table 16 of IS 456, considering the moderate exposure condition, and we have assumed 20 main dia bars, that is tension bars. Okay, so these are things we have assumed, and we have assumed. So if you remember from table 16 of IS 456, for moderate it's actually the nominal cover is 30 mm, but we can reduce it if we are using bars of more than 12 mm. So as we are assuming 20 mm, so we have assumed the clear cover as 25 mm. and the dimensions are already given. The B is 300 mm and depth is 400 mm. Now what is the effective depth? So assuming 20 mm main bar and 8 mm stirrups, you can see the overall depth is D minus 25 mm. This is the clear cover minus the stirrup dimension minus the half of the diameter of the main bar. So here you can see this is the effective depth. Okay, this is the effective depth, so which is come out to be 357. I think you already know about this, so no need to explain all these things again, as you have already studied in singly reinforced beam design. Now let's see, these are same as for whether you are designing for singly reinforcement or doubly reinforced beam. The effective length and the load calculation, everything will be same. Only difference we will see in the calculation of the steel. Okay, so we will see that. So next we will find out what is the effective length, which is as per clause 22.2 of IS 456. So here support which is already given to you, that is 230 mm, and the beam is simply supported. So what we can have as per clause 22.2, we have it can be the two criterias where either it is center to center of the support, or the clear span, plus, suppose this is the clear span plus the effective depth, L clear span plus effective depth, or L center to center, whichever is less you have to take that, right? So L center to center is 6 meter. Here we already know, we have already given this on in the question. Then sorry, it is yes, and this is center to center, and the clear distance will be how much? LCC, that is center to center minus support width plus effective depth. Okay, that will give you 6.127 meter. This is what? This is L clear span plus the effective depth. This LCC minus SW. This is what? This is nothing but the clear span, right? This is the center to center distance minus the support width. You will get the clear span of the beam. Okay. So lesser of the two, that is the effective length, we will take it as 6 meter. Okay, now let us go to the next page, load calculation. So here it is similar to that of singly reinforced beam. We have a self weight. Now one thing you can see that it's the only means the previous question that we have solved for singly reinforced beam, we have only UDL, right? So for UDL, the bending moment diagram is simply a parabolic distribution, which is the maximum value is WL square by 8, right? If L is the length of the beam. Now another case is that in this question we have an additional point load at the center, right? This is P. Then for point load, the bending moment is a straight line, like look like a triangle, right? And that is PL by 4. Right? So here we have UDL as well as point load both in our question. So we have to, the design moment will be the addition of the moment due to UDL plus moment due to the point load. Always remember, whenever there is a combination of load, in case of any building, you might find that there is a combination of load, there is UDL as well as there is a point load. Point load might not be always at the center, it might be somewhere near to, suppose, one end. Okay, in that case the equation for moment you already know what and where, and the location of the maximum moment you also already have studied in structural analysis, right? So in that way, what you have to do, you have to combine the UDL for, this is bending moment diagram for UDL, and this is bending moment diagram for point load. So you have to combine both bending moment diagram for UDL plus bending moment diagram for the point load, and then you have to find out what is the maximum moment. Okay, where suppose here the point load is not at the center, then the bending moment diagram will be something like the triangle will shift, right? And this is P, if this is A, this is B, this is PAB by L, right? So this is the maximum. So but the maximum moment is acting at the distance A, or you can say at the point of action of the point load. So here, as we are getting the maximum moment, but in case of a UDL, the maximum moment you will get at the center. So what you have to do, you have to combine both this BMD for the UDL, and this BMD find the point load, and in that way you have to find out what is the location of the maximum moment. Okay, so probably it will be somewhere in between. Okay, probably it might be somewhere in between. You have to add and you have to find out. But in this problem, the problem is a little bit easier because the point load is not at the on one side of the beam but at the center. So we know that the maximum moment will act, that means the maximum moment, whether for its UDL or a point load, it is going to act at the center. Okay, so you have to find out the maximum moment, as well as you have to also find out the maximum shear force. So for UDL or it's a point load, the maximum shear force is going to act at near to the support. So you have to find out the maximum shear force also, and you have to combine for both UDL and point load. Okay, so for any beam that you are going to design, if there is a combination of load, you have to find out the BMD and SFD separately. You have to combine both all the BMD diagrams or SFD diagrams. Then you have to find out the maximum moment, and then you have to use it for finding out the maximum moment. Now you can see here, this is a self weight, right? So self weight, you already know how to find out. The cell unit weight of concrete is 25 kilonewton per meter cube into B into D, that is going to give you 3 kilonewton per meter. Then this is in UDL, right? This is a UDL. Then we have the total dead load. Total dead load will be how much? The self weight plus 5 kilonewton per meter, which is already given, so it becomes 8 kilonewton per meter. Then live load is already given, that is 10 kilonewton per meter. So these are already given to us. So all these three, if you see, all these three are UDL, right? These are UDL. So you can add directly, all these three you can add directly. So the total UDL becomes 18 kilonewton per meter. Okay, now we will find out the point load separately. So the point load, the total point load at the center is 30 kilonewton, right? Then for simply supported beam, what will be the maximum moment because of UDL? It is nothing but WL square by 8, and which will give you 81 kilonewton meter, right? As well as what is the maximum shear force near the support because of UDL? This is WL by 2, which is 54 kilonewton. Here the W is nothing but this 18. Okay, we have not multiplied with the partial safety factor. We will do that in the later stage, as we know that for dead load and live load the combination is only 1.5. We have to multiply both with 1.5, so there is no issue. I can multiply later on also, but if the ratios are different, suppose dead load is 1.5 and live load is 1.2, in that case we would have subtract or multiplied this partial safety factor in this stage itself. Okay, but as here we know that for both dead load and live load the partial safety factor is 1.5, so we can multiply it later on also. Okay, so here we have multiplied the partial safety factor in the later stage, but if the for dead load and live load the partial safety factors are different, suppose for dead load it is 0.5 and for live load is 0.9, in that case this multiplication of the partial safety factor you have to do in this stage itself, not at the later stage. Okay, so now let us find out what is the maximum moment. This is 81 kilonewton meter and shear force is 54. This is near the support, this is near the center or the center of the span. Okay, so let's see what is for the point load. Because of the point load, if you see, the maximum moment is PL by 4, which is 54 kilonewton meter, as well as the maximum shear force for point load, it is 15 kilonewton, P by 2, right? 15 kilonewton. This simply the point load is there and UDL is there. If this is P, this is P by 2, right? It is so simple. So it is P by 2. Okay, so now you have to add this moments now, or you can see all the dimensions of moment due to point load as well as UDL are same, so you can now add it. But the dimensions for point load and UDL are not same. For UDL it is kilonewton per meter and dimension for point load is kilonewton, so you cannot add this both directly. Okay, so that is why we have converted to UDL first, then we have multiplied. Now Here let us find out the design moment, that is UDL plus point load into 1.5. This is actually the partial safety factor, okay, which is comes out to be 189 kilonewton meter. And what is for maximum shear force? This is 1.5 shear force due to UDL into 1.5 shear force due to point load, and which comes out to be 103.5 kilonewton, right? So this is how you have to do the load calculation. Here load calculation is a little bit tricky, because here you have to find out for UDL and point load separately, and always remember you have to do it in all the cases, whether you are doing in practically or in exam. You always have to superpose. It is following the theory or law of superposition that you have to use, okay. And another thing that I want to repeat again, that this partial safety factor, though I have multiplied at the latest stage, but if the multiplication factor or partial safety factors are different for dead load and live load, suppose for dead load it is 1.5 and for live load it is 1.2, in that case you have to do this multiplication at the previous stage itself, okay, while you are combining dead load and live load. But here, as dead load and live load multiplication factor is 1.5, so we have done it at the later stage, okay. Now let's go to the next page. Now the most important thing that we'll discuss here. Now the thing is, why we have provided the compression reinforcement. We have provided compression reinforcement so that it is going or it able to take the excess amount of moment that is coming to the or acting to the beam, okay. So but what is excess above what? The question is excess about what is the limiting value that you have to find out. That means we have the beam of dimension 300 by 400. The first thing that you need to know, whether this beam will be a singly reinforced beam or a doubly reinforced beam, how you are going to design. So there is a one check. The check is, if the limiting moment of resistance of this section, if the limiting moment of resistance of this section is less than, if I say mu limit, if mu limit of the section is less than mu, if it is less than mu, then what is happening here, that is the whatever is the strength the section has, which is less than the applied moment. That means the beam is not going, or it is not being able to, or it will not be able to take the excess amount of moment. In that case you have to go for doubly reinforced beam, okay. But if mu limit is found to be more than mu value which is applied, in that case you can design singly reinforced, okay. It is not actually hard and fast. You can always design, means there is no beam in this world which is singly reinforced, because you have to provide some holding bars itself, right? So the beams are always going to be doubly reinforced, but the thing is, how you are designing, the design approach is different, okay. For doubly reinforced, we design the beam bars at the compression phase also, but in singly reinforced we do not design the bars at the compression phase. So these two are the criteria. If mu limit is less than mu, that is the strength is less than the applied moment, then you have to provide the reinforced section. And if the mu limit value is more than mu applied, then you can design it as a singly reinforced beam, okay. So how to find out mu limit? So mu limit you can find out, I think we have already discussed in the theory of limit state method design. There we have seen how to find out mu limit, right? Mu limit can be calculated considering the strength in the concrete, right? So we have, if you remember, we have a stress distribution diagram where it is 0.36 FCKB XUD, like that, right? So if you remember, so we have find out the mu limit. So for that, let's look into what is the XU limit value. So XU limit value, you already know this, you have already used this. XU limit by D for Fe415 grade is 0.48. You remember this value, it is 0.48 for Fe415, okay. Now you have to find out what is the limiting moment of the section. Limiting moment, that is limiting moment means this much of moment you can apply to the section, Okay, and how we have derived it, you can go and look back into our previous video. There we have already discussed how to get this particular equation. Now this equation, if you see, this is not dependent upon the FCK or Fy value. That means grade of steel, or that means this equation or the limiting value or limiting moment of a section does not depend upon the how many numbers of bars you have provided or what is the grade of the bar. That doesn't depend upon that. So it only depends upon the FCK, that is grade of concrete, and dimension of the concrete. So that is why it is beneficial for us, because in our case only dimension is available to us, so we can find out what is the mu limit. So if you look at the equation, it is 0.36 FCK BD square XU limit by D whole into 1 minus 0.42 XU limit by D. This is actually the lever arm. This is the lever arm. So you can see in the book also how this equation has been derived. If there is doubt, you can always ask me. Now this is mu limit. So you just put the values. Also you can get this equation in NXZ of IS 456. Okay. So you can find out the mu limit, which is 131.875 kilonewton meter. You just put the values of B, D, FCK, XU limit by D, already know it is 0.48, and you will get the value of 131.875 kilonewton meter. Now this is very interesting. Here you can see this is the maximum moment the section can take. A section of 300 by 400, 300 by 400. It doesn't depend upon the what is how many numbers of bars you have provided. That no, it doesn't depend upon that. So the only thing is the strength it has, it is 131, right? But what is the applied moment? Applied moment is 189. So as you can see that the applied moment is much larger than what is the limit or how much moment it can take, right? That means mu limit is less than mu. So that means what? We have to design this particular section as a doubly reinforced beam. We have to design it as a doubly reinforced beam, because with only one layer of beam at the tension phase is not going to be enough. So you have to provide some another set of reinforcement at the compression phase as well. Okay, so how to go into depth of designing of, now we will see how to go in depth of designing of the compression reinforcement. Okay, so for that we have certain provisions in the IS code in the NXZ. Now before going into that, I would like to show you how the stress distribution occurs in case of when we are going to consider the stress or when we are going to consider the compression reinforcement. Here you can see this is a beam where B is the width and D is the depth. Okay, this is the effective depth. Here D dash is nothing but the effective cover of the compression phase. That means it is the distance from the top of the beam to the center of the compression reinforcement. Okay, this is the center of the compression reinforcement, right? This is the compression reinforcement at the top, and this is a distance from the top fiber of the beam to the center line of the compression reinforcement, which is represented by D dash. Okay, and what is D? D is the effective depth, and it is these are compression steel, these are tension steel. Now XU by max, this is the nothing but the what is the maximum depth of the neutral axis. Now if you see the strain distribution diagram, we already know that as per as you are designing in limit state method, the strain cannot be more than 0.0035, right? This is already you know. And these are the strain in sigma st. Also you know what is the maximum or the minimum value of strain that should be there in case of a limit state method, you already know. Okay, so here at this location of the compression steel, suppose the strain value is epsilon sc. This is epsilon st. Okay, so here this epsilon sc is very important. Because why it is important? Because in case of a beam design or in a limit state, you know that we always consider concrete above the neutral axis. The concrete above the neutral axis we consider, but we do not consider the concrete below the neutral axis. So there is going to be obviously some cracks at the below section. Now here, as you can see in the AST, the tension reinforcement, so the sigma ST is not that important. But why sigma SC is more important? Because the strain in steel here, as concrete is going to be present for whole design, so the strain in the concrete should be same to the strain in with the steel. Otherwise, what happen if the strain in the steel is more than the strain in concrete? The steel will going to come out of the concrete. It is going to come out of the concrete. That means the displacement or elongation of the steel is, if it is more than that of concrete, then what will happen? It will not act at the at the same way. Okay, suppose you have a concrete, you have a bar over here. If you are pulling everything together, if the steel comes out more compared to the concrete, what will happen? The steel is going to dislocate, or it will come out of the concrete. Okay, the bond will not be there. So it is very important that strain in concrete at this level and the strain in steel should be same. So that is why this epsilon SC is very important, and that we are going to find out. That we have equation, we will going to find out. And considering this strain, we are going to find out what is the stress in the steel. In consideration of this strain in the steel, we are going to find out what is the stress in the steel. Okay, considering this strain, we are going to find out what is the stress. Okay, the same thing we have not done for tension steel, because here we have not even considered the concrete to be present. So concrete is not an issue here, but there are certain limits. You already know what are the limit, that is 0.002 plus 0.87 Fy by ES, that is already there, but we are not talking about that. But the important thing is that the compression steel, when you are going to provide the strain in the steel in the compression phase, should be same with the strain of the concrete. So this strain is very important, and according to this strain, you must have to find out what is the stress in that particular steel. Okay, now let's see the stress diagram. This is for a singly reinforced beam. You already know what is the stress distribution diagram. The maximum stress at the top fiber is 0.447 FCK, which is considering a partial safety factor of 1.5. Then the compression force is 0.362. That means what we are going to do, we are going to divide this particular section. Once we are going to only consider only the tension reinforcement, and in the next case we are only going to consider the compression reinforcement. Okay, so suppose this is a tension reinforcement. So for tension reinforcement, this is the stress distribution diagram. You already know about this. The maximum top the stress at the top is 0.447 FCK. The compressive force is 0.362 FCK BXU, and the lever M is D minus 0.42 XU, and the stress in steel is 0.87 FY AST, right? And in case of if you are considering only the steel in compression, then the stress here will be how much? FSC minus 0.447 FCK into ASC. So we will talk about this, but now here you can see that XU max is written. Why it is XU max? Because just now we have discussed that we are going to provide compression steel only if the applied moment is more than the limiting moment. And how you are going to find out the limiting moment? The limiting moment can be found out applying the maximum XU limit value, considering XU limit. Okay, XU limit by D, that is 0.48 for Fe415 grade. So that is why everywhere if you see, this is mentioned as FCK BXU max, maximum value they have used. Okay, or we have to use, this is maximum value, because this steel we are going to provide at the maximum moment, or this particular the limiting moment this particular section can take. Okay, so here also you can see AST limit, that is limiting value of steel that we can provide here, that we have provided. But as this section when after providing the limiting value of the steel as well as the neutral axis, we have not able to find out, or we are not being able to get a resistant moment of resistance more than the applied moment, so we are going to provide a compressive steel. So here the compressive steel ASC you can see the stress here is FSC minus 0.447 FCK into SC. Why this is so? You can see here the stress in the concrete and the stress in steel are not same. This is very important. The strain is same. Strain, if I are talking about strain in strain in concrete as well as in steel are same. There is no relative displacement. That is what I mean to say. There is no relative displacement between the concrete as well as a steel. Okay, but the stresses are different. The stress in concrete is different to the stress in steel. Yes, so I was talking about the stress in the compression field. So here at the compression reinforcement, the stress you can find out as the stress is a combination of the stress here at the tension at the sorry. So so here what is the stress in the steel in the tension phase, okay, sorry, in the compression phase. So here you can see that the compression steel lies in the range of rectangular region, right? So here the stress in concrete is already 0.447 FCK, right? So what is the stress that is available? Okay, the available stress will be the stress in the steel, that is what is the stress in the steel, FSC minus 0.447 FCK. This is actually, this much of stress is actually available in the steel. Okay, so it is the difference between the stress in this compression steel minus 0.447 FCK. Why? Because this lies in the, this reinforcement lies in the rectangular portion of the stress block. Okay, that is why we can subtract directly 0.447 FCK. So this becomes the stress in the compression steel is given by the equation FSC minus 0.447 FCK ASC, and this delta ASC AST is actually provided in relation to the how much amount of compression steel you have provided. Okay, the equivalent amount of, you can say, the compression steel is provided in the tension zone as well to take care of the equilibrium. So another small amount of del AST is provided, which is in relation to the amount of compression steel you have provided. Okay, then another amount of tension steel is provided at the bottom in relation to the compression steel that you have provided. Understood? So let's see in the next page. So I hope you have understood this particular drawing. We will be using this particular concept in our later designs. Now let us find out what is the AST limit. That means how much of steel that we need to provide for corresponding to the MU limit, because this is the MU limit is the amount of moment that the section is going to take provided with only tension reinforcement. Okay, suppose there is only tension reinforcement at the bottom of the reinforcement AST, then the moment of resistance is given by mu, right? Mu. So corresponding to mu limit, whatever AST you are going to provide, that will be called AST limit. Okay, so you know that mu limit here, for this problem mu limit is less than mu, what is the applied moment, right? So corresponding to mu limit we have to first find out what is the AST limit, and this AST limit we are going to provide at the bottom. Okay, the mu limit that we have found out for the section, that for that mu limit how much steel is required, that is we are going to provide at the bottom. So how to find out the AST limit? AST limit is nothing but, you can see in the figure this is the AST limit, right? This is the AST limit. Now you know this equation, we have already used this equation in reinforced beam. It is 0.5 FCK by Fy B into D whole into 1 minus root over 1 minus 0.459 4.598 mu limit by FCK BD square, and this comes out to be 1.275 into 10 to the power 3 mm square. Okay, this is the AST limit, or you can convert it to percentage of steel and it is AST by BD into 100, that is 1.191%. okay, this much of steel you have provided corresponding to the AST limit. Now let's look and let's find out the data's value. So before going to that, I think we can continue the later part in the next class. So for now you just revise what we have studied, and how to find out the ASC, that is the steel of the completion, we will discuss in the next class.